How's this? Is the sound working now? Did we get off to a really bad start? I need a thumbs up from someone. Okay. Well, welcome. What's happening is we are going to be watching the thin. Look at that cat on the piano. He never does that, and now he wants our attention. So, William Powell, Myrna Loy, 1936. It's New Year's Eve. Nick and Nora Charles, they're going to solve some mysteries. So, as we start, we see the Sunset Limited. It is the train that is going from New York to San Francisco. The first movie took place during Christmas. It ended with them on the train. And now we're hearing San Francisco, here we come, and they're heading to San Francisco. So I'll kind of talk to you about what the movie's all about. Obviously, I can't put a copyrighted movie on my channel, but we're not just going to be talking about that. We'll also talk about what's going on as we once again chill our champagne. That's right, I got my champagne bucket right here, and we are drinking it from a Nick and Nora glass. You know, we have the flutes, or these glasses are actually the type that back in the mid 30s they drank from. So he was shaving with the old straight razor, and they're in a small little train car, and she pushed the door open, and she said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just practicing cutting my throat." So they're packing up, they're getting ready to pull into San Francisco. So thank you, Chris and Kay, for letting me know that the sound works. And, you know, if it was a ventriloquist act, that was a great question. But if it was a ventriloquist act, you would have heard, no, what would have happened? My mouth wouldn't have been moving and you would have heard sound, not the opposite. This is not a martini glass. No, a martini glass has straight edges. This is called a coupe glass, a coupe champagne glass. And Nick is now drinking some alcohol on the train. And she asked him, she said, "Nick, are you putting away?" No, she said, uh, "Are you packing everything?" And he said, "Yes, I'm just putting away the liquor." And of course, he's shaking and taking a drink while he's on the train. Nick Charles drinks a lot. So, a great movie. I know most people probably never heard of the Thin Man series. On the other channel, I'm going to be actually, I think I'm going to be doing a review of the entire Thin Man series. It's clearly one of the best film series in film history, I think. And too many people today don't know what it's about. There was a lot of drinking in the Thin Man. Kay, are you familiar with the Thin Man? I love that when people know about that. The train is coming in, and they have all kinds of people, and reporters are waiting to greet the Charleses because when he solved the Thin Man mystery in New York City, it made news. And so he's walking their dog, Asta. And as the reporters, he stops and he chit chats with them in his jovial and witty style. And of course, every time they come up to a pole, he gets jerked back because Asta the dog has to stop at each and every pole. So, um, give you a little background. Nick Charles, William Powell, he is a former private investigator. And 4 years prior in this storyline, he married Nora, and she was very wealthy, and he became um, a man of leisure, just looking out after her money. And she always wants him to investigate crimes once again because she thinks that it's, you know, uh, kind of cool and sexy to be a private investigator. So, and now someone bumped into Mrs. Charles in the train station and said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And Nick grabbed his hand and said, "Hey, it's good to see you again." And apparently he's an old friend of his because Nick knows a lot of shady customers. And it turns out that this guy is a pickpocket. And his eyes are shifting back and forth, and they're having uncomfortable chuckles when he realizes he just pickpocketed Nick Charles' wife. So she doesn't know what's going on, and she's saying, Nikki, I lost my purse. I don't know what I'm going to do." And he says, don't worry, dear. We'll find it." Myrna Loy was a great biography. Yeah, Myrna. Well, you know, it's funny because She was in stuff. I believe she was even in into the 80s in the Mrs. Fletcher Murder She Wrote. Yeah, beautiful woman. And so now he walked away, and Nick reached in his pocket and handed her handbag back to her because, of course, the pickpocket, once he realized it was Nick Charles, he very surreptitiously put her purse back in. So now they're driving, and he just yelled to the beer wagon went by, with all the big wooden kegs of beer, and he said, "You can start delivering again." He yelled at him down the street, and they're coming up to a stoplight, and all of the street people are coming up. The guys that sell newspapers, and they're talking about the palooka that's going to win the big fight. So lots of class those two had. Yeah, they did. It was even more than class. There was a charm to those two. The way they interacted, they were really a fun couple. I believe that when they did back in the 1980s, this is just my own thinking, back in the 1980s when they did Heart to Heart, it really seems like they're trying to capture Nick and Nora Charles and the Thin Man. So now there's got to be, I don't know, 10 people around the car at the stoplight, all these street people coming up and saying hi to Nick and welcome back to San Francisco. And now an elderly couple drives by in a fancy Rolls Royce, and he looks like the Monopoly man, and they shout out to Nora, and they say hello, and he says, "Who's that, dear?" And she says, "You wouldn't know them. They're respectable." So So that's where they are. They pull up to their house now. They live in a pretty nice house. What's everybody doing tonight? Are you having any other plans in joining me for New Year's Eve? Um, uh, I like the interiors of those movies. Love the ice box in the kitchen, for example. Yes, but you look at that, they do have an ice box, but other than that, boy, they're looking out right over no, it's not the Golden Gate Bridge. It's that other double bridge, the one that's double now. And old Asta, he's excited. He's playing around in the yard. He's running back because he gets to see Mrs. Asta. Asta is a little terrier. And I don't know why they took Asta and they didn't take Mrs. Asta. But she has one, two, three, four puppies. And the puppies are all running up to Asta. And all of a sudden, his tail stops wagging and his ears pop up. And a little black puppy comes running out of the house. And Asta's looking at that and saying something isn't right. I think he's wondering if Mrs. Asta was maybe, having a little fun on the side while he was away. I don't know, because here comes the black dog from the neighborhood is crawling under the fence, and Asta chased him away, chased him back under the fence, and he's barking at him. Don't come back. You don't come back. You leave my wife alone. And then he turned around and he's throwing dirt back in the hole. They say that that dog was paid more than many of the actors that he acted with. He was a very famous and popular acting animal in the 1930s and 1940s. Far more well known at the time than dogs like Rin Tin Tin and Lassie and whoever else was around in the day. So the Charleses still haven't gotten into their house, but I guess that Asta did a good job now of. I don't think that's the way it works though. That if you have dogs with different color fur and they both mess around with Mrs. Asta, that it's going to be a split litter. I don't think it works that way. All right. So they are now going into and there's a party going on inside their home. Some guy comes up, takes their coat, takes their hat, and Nick checks outside and he says, "Yep, it's our house." And Nora said, "Let's go in." The man said, "It's okay." So he says they're having a welcome home party, welcome back party for Nick and Nora Charles. He says, "Do you know them?" And they said, "No." And he said, "It's okay, neither do I." And then he's telling them that they should go and grab some of the Napoleon liquor before it's all gone. So normally I might be doing something on New Year's Eve. It's kind of a weird one for me. As you know, I just lost my wife in the past month, and you know, she was the one that I would kiss on New Year's Eve. So I just thought I would stay in. And so that's why we're doing this tonight. So I thought I'm here with all of you. And boy, are they having a party. People are singing and people are dancing. And do they have live music there? Well, he's asking Mrs. Charles to have this dance. So, and as they dance by, there's a firefighter with three women hanging on him. Boy, it wasn't just 9/11. Those firefighters always attracted the ladies. So he's showing one of them how he would pick up to save her. And another woman jumped up on the table and said, "Save me, save me." She wants some attention from the firemen. And here's a guy, he's standing on his hands and they're just doing crazy stuff. It's no different. It was 90 years ago, but they do the same ridiculous nonsense that you would see today at a party. And now there's some wrestler and he's showing how he put all the wrestling moves. Apparently he's a professional wrestler at this party. And he's picking a guy up and body slamming him. And now there's a guy in a trumpet and a woman playing the drums, and someone else is singing, and one guy's practicing his speech he's going to give when the Charleses get there, having no idea that they are already there. So anyway, I made those movies a matter. They made those movies in a matter of a few weeks. I remember what Myrna Loy. They did make movies a lot more quickly back then, but man, they did a quality pictures in that short period of time. And now they got back into the kitchen and all of the help. There's, cooks and cleaners and the guy bringing in the ice into the ice box that you mentioned. And no one even realizes that the Charles had just came in. Oh, now she saw him. He was reaching for uh, something out of the off the table, and she smacked his hand with a spoon, and then realized it's Mr. Charles. And they're all slapping his back and pat. He must be a really good employer because they're all really happy to see him. So yeah, they did make him in a short period of time. And the other thing that is interesting, if you think about it, this is probably only 7 or 8 years since the introduction of talkies, and the movies are already this good. So they poured a few cocktails uh, for Nick and Nora, and so all is well. All right, everybody. Hey, is it snowing where you are? I have relatives in Norway, the country Norway, and I spoke with them this evening. And I talked to them on Christmas Eve, and they said it was raining, no snow. And finally tonight, New Year's Eve, started snowing in Norway, and I bet it's not going to stop until June. Okay, and now there was a phone call, and it's Nora's cousin Selma. And Selma is really worked up over something, and she says, "Please come over here. I can't tell you on the phone. I need your help." And the old lady must be Selma's mother, and or maybe it's her grandmother. She looks like a rich old biddy, and she's steals the phone from Selma, and she's trying to talk kindly to Nora and saying, "Come on over, dear." But I know Nick does not like that family. Um, First time Myrna Loy met William Powell was in their first scene. Wow. Well, they sure had a good chemistry. Fantastic chemistry. It turned into what, 6 movies, 7 movies? And now Nick is drinking and he's trying to wrestle the phone from her hand, and he's pretending that he's going to hit the old biddy over the phone line. And now Nora has to tell him, "We have to go over and see Selma. She needs our help." Yeah, the first scene in the first movie, that would have been the original Thin Man. And he must be drinking out of the Napoleon brandy now. And each time she says more, he pours more and more and more until this glass is topped off. And she says, "Give me one too." So he just handed her the glass. Now he's picking up a water glass and just filling it with booze. And here comes Asta. Oh, Asta's sad. He's in the corner, probably sad that Mrs. Asta was fooling around while he was away in New York City. I don't know. Can you hear any of it in the background? I probably can't. It's a little, the sound is down. Do I have the volume? I don't know if this volume control works or not. Yeah, it's not working. We're not going to worry about it. You can listen to me babble on for the next hour. So she's saying she can't go, she can't. And here comes a frail old butler. So he says, should I set a place for Mr. Robert? Mr. Robert is Selma's ne'er-do-well husband. He just married her for the money. He's out gallivanting with other women. And I think that's why Selma wanted Nick and Nora to come, because Robert's missing. And so she's going to send them on the quest to find Robert. And there's all these dignified, wealthy, rich old people. And I did some math once when I was watching this movie, based on the age of some of these people. One old lady has a hearing aid that, she has this big speaker, and then the hearing aid comes down from it, and those are hearing aids in the old days. They didn't come around your ear. But some of these people were born before the Civil War. If you think about this, is 1935. Civil War was 60. So they could have been born before the Civil War and only been like 70 years old. So, and they're the old rich people with, fancy. The men are all in white shirt and tails, and not black tie, white tie. So, and they have top hats. Nick and Nora are at the gate now, are waiting for him to open the door, and he's in a top hat, so that's pretty good. Yeah, they kept the Thin Man. I didn't want to give that away in this video because I'll be doing a video on that, but they kind of decided that Nick Charles was the Thin Man and he wasn't. But for some reason, eventually that morphed into, The Thin Man Goes Home was the name of one of the movies. He was not the Thin Man. So now the old man took his coat, and he almost toppled over because he's old and frail, and he said, "Walk this way." And Nick said, "Well, I'll try." You have to see it. Um, so now they're going to find out what the mystery is. Why did Selma call them over? And as I already said, they're slowly going to find out that Robert has gone missing. And the old lady really, it's a family. She's more concerned about maintaining the family and not having a scandal. So, although she doesn't like Nick, she always calls him Nicholas, which was probably pretty risque for the 1930s. But that was her way of calling him basically a jackass, a buffoon. She calls him Nicholas. And And anyway, she doesn't like him, but she knows that he is a good investigator. And so she's on board to have him go out and find Robert. And that's how the whole thing starts. And it's going to go downhill from there. There are two wonderful actors besides Powell and Lloyd. This was one of the very, very early movies of James Stewart. So Jimmy Stewart is in this movie. He plays David, who is um, Selma's old heartthrob before she got swept off her feet and married David, or married Robert. And so Jimmy Stewart really wants her back. So he hasn't shown up yet, but he's not going to be too sad to hear that Robert had disappeared, because he um, he would like to have Selma back. So Jimmy Stewart has a pretty, it's, not the major role, but a pretty big part in this film. And Penny Singleton is in this movie. And if you don't know Penny Singleton, she played Blondie in a series of Blondie movies in the 1940s, might even spilled it over into the 50s. Um, a really attractive, kind of the girl next door when she played Blondie. But in this one, she has dark hair and she's kind of the femme fatale. She's a nightclub singer and quite a beautiful woman. So Penny Singleton, she's under a different name. So that's a nice little bit of trivia about this film. Those two actors um, in this early 1936 film. So Myrna Loy is a friend of Eleanor Roosevelt. Really, she was very active in politics. I didn't know that about Nicholas. How didn't I notice that? I don't know, but I've seen this movie so many times. Um, Remember, this is waiting, and countdown is less than an hour now. So I hope that we can just keep our visit. They have now had dinner, and all the men retired to the drawing room where they're having cigars and brandy. However, all the old men fell asleep and they're snoring. And so Nick is just amusing himself by carrying on imaginary conversations with them as they snore. And he just picked up the bouquet and laid it on the chest of one of the men as he walked out of the room, kind of like a wreath of flowers that you would put on a deceased body. So, because Nora came and got him, and they're walking out, and she's bringing him back to Selma and the old biddy, and they're going to now talk about what they would like Nicholas to do. So, I didn't know she was a friend of Eleanor Roosevelt, so I assumed she was a Democrat. Back then, I don't know if people were that divisive as politics are today, but I don't know. So they're building up the storyline. They're doing the what do they call it? The oh, there's a term for it. I can't remember. Like the expose, where they're kind of filling everybody in on what's going on and bringing us uh, as viewers up to speed under the guise of telling the Charleses what's going on. And I've already filled you in on all that. Hey, I don't see any thumbs up here. So if everyone in the room could go ahead and click on thumbs up, I would sure appreciate that. This is a funny movie now that you're describing it. It's got a lot of humor in it, but it also has a lot of mystery and murder and, so it's a good mix of everything. I have always felt, and I don't know if this is true because, of course, I can't research all of Hollywood movies, but I always felt that this, we see a lot of, um, um, oh, what would you call them? I'm missing the term right now. Oh, here comes Jimmy Stewart. He walks in now. Of course, he's tall and young and handsome, and he's got the white scarf wrapped around his neck with the overcoat, and he's got his top hat in his hand. And he's coming to check on Selma. And he wants to make sure everything's okay because he heard that Robert had disappeared. The cliches is what I was looking for. The movie cliches, things like gathering all of the suspects in the room at the end of the movie and then revealing who the culprit is. Now it seems corny and hokey. 1936, that was kind of a novel idea. So, Ryan, welcome, my friend. Well, it's always good to have Ryan in the room. Notice Ryan has a wrench now. Ryan is one of the few people at every single video he comments on, and I do appreciate that. Currently moderating someone else. Really? You're two-timing me? On a channel that has a lot more crazies in here. I don't have crazies. And I'll come back soon. Yes, please come back. We're here till midnight. So, Ryan, give me a thumbs up. And now Selma's talking to David. And David he's quite a gentleman. He's very kind and he's gentle and thoughtful. And he's kind of telling her, if you don't want to go out, we'll stay here. Get a couple of glasses, we'll pour some champagne, and we'll have a New Year's Eve, just the two of us here. And so she says, no, let's go out. Let's go out. Let's join Nick and Nora and have a good time tonight. Unfortunately, I think maybe Nick and Nora have gotten into their car and left already, but we'll find out where they're going. So So I believe they're going to go to Dancer's Place. So, Lisa, do you notice anything different? Happy New Year, Lisa. We are watching another Thin Man. No, I'm sorry, after The Thin Man. It's number two in the Thin Man series, and I can't show it, so I'm kind of narrating and going through the movie as we have little interjections and discuss other things. So they were still outside by the door or the gate, and David just came out by himself. So I guess Selma changed her mind or something. I'm looking relaxed, but that's not what I was talking about. You're now blue and have a wrench by your name. I'm talking to Lisa, by the way. I hope I looked relaxed and comfortable. I'm trying to remember when the moral standard started in the movies. It happened sometime around 34 or 35 because I remember in the first movie, um, it's kind of risque because Myrna Loy is in the upper compartment in the bed, and it is very clear what they're going to do. And it's very obvious that she's wearing a sheer, almost see-through top, and she's not wearing any undergarments. It's quite obvious if you watch the original Thin Man. And I don't think that would have made it past once they put what was that morals board called? I'm forgetting, but I know what you're talking about when they instituted the standards. There's a name for that. So they made it to the nightclub, or they didn't make it to the nightclub, but they're giving us a preview of the nightclub that they are heading to. You might need that at for your car at that, Lisa. So here's Penny Singleton with black hair singing, and she is making eyes at a gentleman. Uh, there's a lot, talk about morality. There are a lot of bad people in this, and she is Penny Singleton, who plays Polly. So I'll just call her Polly from now on. She's making eyes and kissy faces while she's dancing and singing at a gentleman. And we're going to find out later that is Robert. So Robert is seeing her on the side. And all these gals are out now, and they have these cute short dresses, and they're all singing and dancing. And they, around the skirts, there's the music, the bars. What is it called? Help me out. Um, with the music notes and everything going around it. And they have all of these tin horns clipped to their outfits, and they're tossing them out because it's New Year's Eve, and everybody's, come on, give me one, give me one. Just like they do at ball games now with T-shirts, right? And they're tossing out um, these tin horns. They're pretty big, saxophones and trumpets and things, just toys. But and the song, because the song she's singing is "Blow That Horn." And now they all went to the back of the stage, and Polly is out there dancing it up on herself. All the other girls have light colored dresses. They look to be white, and hers is black. Maybe that's representing that she's the bad girl, huh? And she's dancing out there in the dark dress. It could be red for all I know. So let's see. Let's see if I can find what that is called. Um, yeah, I'm doing a little research on um, the Motion Picture Producers Association established production code known as the Hays Code. That's what I was trying to think of, the Hays Code, to maintain social community values in the film. It says it was in 1930. Wow. Okay. Some notable movies from the 30s include Top Hat, The Thin Man, Our Man Godfrey, which also starred William Powell. And then it made musicals popular because they didn't have to worry about morals clauses there, right? So now she is in her dressing room, Polly is, and another man comes in. She has men coming out her ears, I'll tell you. And she's fighting with him, and he grabs her hair. Oh, he's getting vicious with her. And this is Phil. And we don't really know who Phil is. So, and he just cracked her a good one right across the face. Down she went in the chair. She's sobbing and she's holding her face and saying, how am I going to go out and perform now with this? How am I going to explain this? So now he's coming out and Dancer confronts him. Dancer is the club owner. And and he says the only reason that I put up with this is because you're Polly's brother. So this is Polly's brother. At least that's what we think now. Oh, I shouldn't be giving foreshadowing, should I? Excuse me. All right. So now he slapped up Phil a little bit. He pushed him in the face, said, "Stay away for a while." Just as Nick and Nora are coming up the stairs, and Nick makes a crack about they throw big confetti here, as he helped the guy to his feet. And the guy said, "Leave me alone, you big clown," and he ran out. And obviously, Nick and Dancer have a history because he shook his hand and he said, "Hello, Dancer." And now he just met Dancer's partner, an Asian man named Kum Lee. And he said, "You sent his brother up, remember?" So now we have to be a little suspicious of him because we don't know if he is going to cause problems now that Nick sent his brother to prison. So we will see. Did I say Kum Lee? It's Lum. Lum Key. And now they walk up, and Nora sees Robert sitting at the table with his little tin saxophone, and he is cocky and smug, and he called him Nicholas as well. And he said, "I suppose they sent the big detective out to find me." And all of these men, oh, here comes a dancer, and he said, maybe you'd be more comfortable at another table. And no, Nick and Nora, we're going to stay there because he thinks there's going to be some trouble, right? So, so there they are, and he's saying, "I'm not going to come back unless I have to," and I don't think I'm going to have to, which suggests that he has something going that he thinks he's going to get some money from somewhere. Hmm, the plot starts to develop, doesn't it? And now Dancer said, "I've got a better table for you." And Nick brought the little tin saxophone along with him. And Dancer said, "You know that guy? Is he a friend of yours?" And he said, "Worse, he's a relative." So we'll see what's going to happen here. All right. Ah, Ryan's back. Thanks for all the great content in the channels this year. Well, thank you. Thank you. This is kind of a celebration of, of everything that went throughout the year, right? Isn't Cumley a youth representative from California? I don't know, but this is Lum Key. So, And Dancer's afraid that there's going to be some trouble, and he told Polly, give him one more song and then knock off for the night. And there's something going on. They're shaking something down here. So now little Joe comes up, a short little guy, and he's telling Nick that there's a friend of theirs, and he just got out of the joint, and he's not supposed to be associating with shady types, and he should be associating with better people. So he wants to know if they can join them at the table. And Nora says they can, so he slapped her in the back and said that she's a good guy. And now Dancer comes, and he doesn't realize what's about to happen. So Dancer tells the waiter, he said, no bill for this table tonight. Everything's on the house. And Nick says, why, thank you, Dancer. And then all of a sudden, one, two, three, four, five shady guys all come up and have a seat. And he introduced them to Dancer and says, meet our host, gentlemen. And, uh, and now Nick is telling them, everything's on the house, boys, whatever you want. Champagne too? Yes, champagne, of course. And of course, Dancer now can't back out because he already told Nick and Nora that everything's on the house. So there we go. I don't know, but Chum Lee was a guy in. Oh boy, the fireworks are going off already. Sorry about that, Max. I thought something fell on the floor in my kitchen, and it's someone putting off fireworks. I know it's a loser across the street. It's okay, Maxie. Max is down by my feet. Maybe he'll hop up here in a minute. Okay. Another tidbit, Myrna Loy was so concerned about William Powell's girlfriend, Jean Harlow. Oh, he had the beauties, all the blonde bombshells, that she asked his personal doctor to take a look at Jean and tell her what he thought. Oh, so she was concerned that she had a social disease, should we say? Is that it? No, not shade at Bill. It's the guy who lives next door to Bill, an actual loser. Boy, that is loud, those fireworks. It sounds like it's right in my kitchen. Can you hear it? Did you hear the two pops just now? And now the guy, he looks like he's a boxer. His teeth are all knocked out, and he's saying, boy, you can sure pick him. What a beautiful dame. And she is a hot doll, and on and on. And the guy on the other side, shh. And now I just said, shut up, you lug. She's his wife. He was telling Nora that when she's through with him, when she had enough, would she go with him? And here's Polly walking around the room. Boy, she's in a different dress now. Really pretty dress. And David is on the phone with who? Oh, David is on the phone with Robert. Robert called David. And how much is he asking for? I think he is asking for $25,000. I don't know what that was worth in 36, but a lot. And he said if you will give him 36, 30, $25,000, he will leave for good. And Selma is all his, and David can have Selma to himself. So that Robert is really a skunk. I don't know. They must be very wealthy people. So again, David is okay. Now they're applauding. She's done with her song. David is Jimmy Stewart. So Jimmy Stewart is the old lover of hers, the boyfriend before she got married, and he's going to pay off Robert to leave. And there's something going on because I'm not getting the whole story right now because I'm talking, but Dancer sent her on his way and said someone's getting tipped off about something. So um, Myrna thought Jean looked very healthy in general. She died the following year. I think the doctor noted her pulse was not strong at all. All right. Oh, and they're showing the car outside, and Asta is hanging out the window waiting for their return, and the chauffeurs are both trading quips and trading stories. And Polly walks out with Robert, and Phil is hiding in the shadows, and Phil starts following them. And now we see Robert and David and Polly, and Robert was counting these bonds. So David must have paid him off $25,000 in some negotiable bonds. And uh, he said he's going to go back and pick up some clothes. He said, "You leaving town now?" He said, "I'm going to stop at home. I'm going to pick up some clothes." He said, "You've waited this many years. You know, another half hour shouldn't matter." And off they went. So Robert and Polly are walking down the dark street with all those negotiable bonds, and Phil is following them. Did you hear that? I don't know. And Nora's getting up to make a phone call, and Dancer quick ran up to one of his girls and said, "Get on the phone and tie up the phone." And he gave her a bunch of dimes or something. And so she pushed Nora out of the way, and she's getting on the phone so Nora cannot call home. And Dancer is in his office, and Lum is there eating some kind of a rice dish with chopsticks. It looks like it might be rice and maybe shrimp. And now he's saying Landis is on the phone. So um, Landis, that's Robert. So Robert called back to, well, why would he be calling Dancer? Hmm. And now Dancer says, "I'm going to go for some fresh air." So he's obviously going to meet Robert. Maybe he's getting paid off from those bonds. And Lum is looking very suspicious. And he put down his chopsticks, grabbing his coat, and he's going to follow. So everybody is gone now, except Selma. Selma's in bed. Yeah, the neighbor he's a troublemaker. And she heard some noise, and she turned on the light, and there's Robert. And she thinks that Robert's coming back to her, and she's in for a rude awakening when she finds out that Robert is just coming back to get his things and probably steal a little more money from her. So it is now 11:30. Oh my goodness. How can this movie can't wrap up in a half hour, can it? I don't know. This doesn't it seems like there should be a lot more movie than this, but oh well. I thought that it said it was only a running time of an hour and 13 minutes, but if we're not done at midnight, maybe it'll just have to be a cliffhanger. So, what else again? Hey, Maxie, you should jump up here. We'll show you to everybody. 10:30? Where are you, Lisa? I thought you were in New York. Where are you? Lisa, honest to God, I thought you were in New York. Am I confusing you with your location with someone? I can't remember all my viewers where they live. But where is it 10:30 now? Embarrass me. Oh, you live in upstate New York though, don't you? I'm right about that, aren't I? So you're in Oklahoma. Oh, Robert just got shot in the street. Down he goes. Oh man. And oh no, Selma walked up to him. She has a gun in her hand. Did Selma shoot it? And now David jumps out of his car and he said, "What did you do?" And he took the gun from her and he said, go back home. Go back to the house. Don't let anyone know you're here. So he's going to apparently cover for her. Oh, man. All right. Hour and 53 minutes, according to Google, is how long that movie should be. Oh, doggone it. So it's going to be an extra half hour longer. And I thought that, well, all right. I turn away for 2 minutes and total chaos ensues. That's true. The lights went out now. It's New Year's Eve. Nick is kissing. Oh, it's not Nora. It's a blonde floozy. It's the one that made eyes on him when he walked in. He said, excuse me, it must be some mistake. And she said, oh, no. And now her husband comes. He's a big brute of a guy. And Nick says, excuse me. And you can see lipstick all over him. And now he found Nora. And she says, Nikki, you're bleeding. Oh my God, I'm hearing tires squeal outside. Oh no, it wasn't tires squealing. It was one of those squealing fireworks. It went squeal, 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 pop. You know what would make a great horror movie? Mark's Philadelphia Terminal F Experience. Good Lord, Ryan, you don't forget anything, do you? Terminal F, Philly Terminal F. Yes, that was a nightmare that lived with me. Every time I went to Terminal F, it was not a good experience. But that day when I got stuck there overnight was awful. I was ready to quit my job. That's when I didn't even get to sleep in the cots. Remember, I went down because I wanted to get a hotel and I couldn't reach the hotel, so I thought I would use the courtesy phones by the by baggage claim. And when I tried to, they couldn't. When I tried to get back in, I couldn't get back into the terminal because everything was closed. It was after hours. So I ended up sleeping in baggage claim uh, on a plastic chair. Then that was so uncomfortable. Excuse me. That was so uncomfortable. What are you doing? That was so uncomfortable. I ended up curling up in a corner on that cold concrete. That was awful. That was an awful night. So, Maxie. Okay, and now Nick is in Dancer's office. And what's going on? He's on the phone. And he must have heard that Robert was killed. And he said, I wonder which of you would be more surprised if Robert Landis walked in this room right now. Lum just walked in, so it's Lum, Dancer, and the Charleses are all in Dancer's office. Dancer saying, "Get out of here, get out of my office." But Nick is being pretty calm. He's going to call police now. Get out of here, he's saying, and Nick isn't going to. He said, "I'm going to get more people in." And Dancer tried to grab the phone. You know, it's those phones, the candlestick phone. And Nick clocked him in the head with the earpiece. Down he went. And Nora looked at the camera, broke the fourth wall, and said, "See?" And here is David. He's on the bridge, and he stopped his car, and he's tossing the gun over. He's getting rid of the evidence. You know, I should have started this cast an hour and 53 minutes early, but that's all right. Um, it won't be long now. Then we'll celebrate New Year's, and if we want to continue to watch a movie together, we can do that, I suppose. Okay, and now they are back at the mansion, and Lieutenant Abrams is there, and the old lady, she miss, she calls people by the wrong names on purpose, I think, because first she called him um, Lieutenant Abraham, and then he corrected her and said Abrams, and then she calls him Abraham's son. So I think she just does that to annoy people, irritate people, that old goat. So he's trying to, Abrams is trying to talk to all the people, interview all the people at the mansion to find out what they know about Robert Landis. So, of course, who is a suspect? It's the wife. It's always the wife. Landslide at PHI. Glad you're still alive with all your stuff. Well, yeah, a terminal. I don't know how you remember that. I mean, that was, Ryan, that was 4 years ago or longer. Here goes another one of those. Can you hear that? That whistle? And now you got the psychologist. He's kind of a quack. He's kind of a quack, kind of a pop psychologist. And he's got these big, thick glasses. And he is apparently taking care of Selma. Or is he? There's a lot of people that could be committing that murder, quite frankly. I mean, we know Selma was out with the gun. So, but it could be a red herring. Confession, I saw the video like a few weeks ago looking for hotel video. You know what one I just looked at tonight for the first time in a long time? That video from Arizona. Does anyone remember this one? Where the guy had all of the stuff in his yard. He had a muffler man in there, and he had a big boy, and he had a bunch of carousel animals, and he had to actually buy the house across the street because his house and yard were too full of junk. So he went across the street and started filling that up with junk. Fascinating video. I watched it again tonight, and as I was at this guy's house, he pulled up in a pickup truck full of more junk. I started a conversation with him, and he took me into both of his homes. That was absolutely incredible. So now the Charleses are back, and it sounds like it's right outside my door. And she's talking to Selma. Well, I had several Muffler Man videos. I did several of them, but this particular one was the guy had his yard was just full of. I thought it was fascinating stuff. He had, an old like London phone booth, the old wooden phone booth, and uh, everything imaginable. Charlie McCarthy dolls. It went on and on and on. And he had things from like miniature golf. They have all kinds of fiberglass things. He had old things from miniature golf, and he had a big concrete elephant that was like a fountain. And he showed how you put a hose down at the bottom by the foot, and he said it squirts water out of his nose, is what he didn't say trunk, he said out of his nose. So I guess the trunk is his nose, right? All right. So now Nora's leaving Selma's room. And what's going on? I wonder what makes people collect stuff like that. Well, it's cool stuff, but like one cool thing is enough. And sometimes that's even too much. Okay, now the other detective I don't know if you guys can hear that. The other detective that was there started following Nora. So not Abrams, just his assistant, and I don't know who that was. So one of the classic Average Me moments was a review of Checkers and Chess outside HGI in Allentown. I don't even remember it. See, a pyromaniac or Ryan, honest to goodness, I do not remember Checkers and Chess. What was that, a restaurant? I must have hated it, so I blocked it out of my mind. Was it a really bad restaurant? I think it's starting to come to me now. When you said that, I was thinking Checkers and Chess set like a jumble. Uh-oh, she went to see David, and now that other detective came in and has his gun out, and someone was looking in the window, and so Nora was looking out the window, and this detective thinks she was trying to crawl out the window and escape. So he's going to haul them both into the police station. And she said, I'm Mrs. Nick Charles. He said, yeah, I'm Mother Goose. All right. So now Abrams is in Dancer's office. Boy, they get around, don't they? You almost need a scorecard to keep track of this. So Polly is back, Dancer is back, Lum is back. And I think Dancer called his lawyer. And his lawyer is going to be a little Joe Pesci guy. If we made it now, Joe Pesci would play the lawyer. It was shoe leather filet mignon that you tagged at the end. Oh, yeah, that was awful. That was a terrible steak. Here you think you're getting filet mignon and you can't even bite it. So I just heard, what was this rattle here? I don't know what it was. I had so much stuff over here. All right. I got to get settled in. I've been sitting here a long time now. I got to get repositioned. So now who's trying to come in? Oh, the little shyster lawyer. And people are hanging around outside. They picked him up in the air. And Dancer says that he's his lawyer. And Abrams says, yeah, I know who he is. So he must have a bad reputation. But he's kind of comical. He's like a Joe Pesci type. And the lawyer comes up and crawls on the desk and says, hello, Mr. Charles. Remember me? And he puts his hand out, and Nick reaches forward, and then he grabs a cigarette instead of shaking his hand. I love that. Deborah! Welcome, Deborah D. What are you getting ready for? To go out New Year's Eve or just to pop the champagne? 16 minutes. Ooh, and it's getting nice and cold. Look at that. Will you look at that? I wasn't. I'm not going to drink the Dom Perignon tonight. I decided that was that was going to be something special that my wife and I were going to have, and I'm not ready. I'm just not ready. I'll pop it at some point. It's just too soon. So I just picked this up at Publix today, and so we'll drink that. You just finished your Uber Eats deliveries. All right. Well, I should have made some snacks here. I think I will when after midnight and I bid you all adieu. Um, I might make some snacks. I have a lot of different cheeses here and different things. So, and oh, all right. Dancer is going to go and he's going to turn off the lights. Here he is. He's looking suspicious. And Polly and Abrams, the detective, are yelling at each other. They're all smoking cigarettes. And there he goes. He opened it up and he turned the lights off. And now chaos ensues. And you can hear people rustling around and boom, boom, there's a gunshot. And you can see Nick is underneath the desk drinking. And he reaches up and he pulls the phone down. The phone rang, and so he answered it. He's holding them both up to his ear, so he had to move it. All right. And sorry about your loss. Well, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it. And I'm getting through it. I hate to keep bringing it up, but, I kind of have to explain things are. So, but I appreciate it. Um, honest, honestly, I appreciate it. It meant a lot to me, this channel, at least I could come and I could talk to people that, um, we kind of know each other, a lot of people just from doing the YouTube channel. And it was nice just to keep occupied. Now the light turned back on and surprise, surprise, Dancer is gone. Thank you, Lisa. The cop just shot randomly in the dark because he thought he saw somebody. He shot himself in the mirror. Oh, goodness. And someone was choking Abrams, and he can barely talk because, man, Penny Singleton is really, she's really playing a role. When you think of her being so sweet and funny when she plays Blondie, and in here she's trouble. She's just a keg of dynamite. And the phone rang, and it's the headquarters. And he said, "Say that again. It sounds like you said you picked up my wife at a man's apartment." And he said, "That's exactly what I said." And Nick is pretending that he doesn't know it's Nora. And he said, "Throw her in the fish tank." That must be where they put the drunks or the hookers or something. "Throw her in the fish tank till I get down there." And he's laughing to himself. He's going to have his wife thrown in the fish tank. That's great. All right. There's a knock at the door. It's Phil. He's having a drink and a cigarette in his apartment. It's that kind of a rundown place. And he goes to open the door, and the door slams into him, and Dancer comes in. And Dancer approaches him ominously, and we cut away to the jail. And Nick comes in, and the jail marm is letting him in. He hands her a piece of paper that he's there to see his wife. And they go around, and boy, are there the women in this place. And they're all running up to Nick. And wow, they are wearing some short skirts and short dresses and flapper type girls, and they're chewing gum. And yeah, we know what they're in prison for, what they're in the jail for tonight, don't we? They don't come out and say it in these old black and white movies. You can figure it out. You can figure out what all these girls are doing. And then, of course, Nora comes up with them. And they all think if they can bat their eyes at Nick, that he'll get them out of prison too. Trixie, Trixie, Trixie. Welcome, Trixie. Happy New Year to you. I need a thumbs up, everyone. We don't have a lot of thumbs up here. Everybody take 5 seconds to click the thumbs up button. Yes, I think it is that word. We know what those gals are in prison for, even or in jail, even in 1936. We know what they were in the fish tank for, right? And that's why why Nick thought it was such a funny joke to have her thrown in the fish tank, because he knew she'd be in there with a bunch of hookers. All right, now they're interviewing David. They're giving him the third degree, and he's just being real straightforward and calm. That's Jimmy Stewart once again. Oh, you already did when you came in the room. Thank you. Um, thank you very much. How much time till midnight here? 10 minutes, everybody. 10 minutes, and we are going to pop the top on the bubbly. And once again, I am using the Nick and Nora glass today. I'm not using the flute. I'm using they call this the coupe glass. And there is a story, I have to look it up, but there's a story that the coupe glass was designed after a female breast, is the story. So that's how the story goes. And I kind of like that story. I like the idea of that. So let's see. I'm going to look that up and see what it says. Attributed to Marie Antoinette, one popular legend suggests that the coupe glass was modeled after the shape of Marie Antoinette's breast and became known as the Marie Antoinette coupe. However, historical evidence supporting the claim is scarce, and it's more likely a romanticized tale. All right, so let's see what a Nick and Nora glass is. I think it's the same thing. Okay, Nick and Nora glass is not quite a flute, but it's not quite a coupe. It's kind of in between, is what they're calling the Nick and Nora glass. All right. I need to get myself a couple in because I don't think I have that exact shape. Yeah, I do. I think I have some like that. I think I was drinking some wine out of that the other day. I absolutely do. I have some of those. All right. So now um, David is talking to Selma, and she says, I need the gun because that gun is not going to matter. I didn't shoot him. So we'll be able to clear myself real easy. Just do ballistics test on the gun, and you'll know I didn't shoot him. And David says, I threw the gun into the bay. I threw it away. And now Abrams think it's a put on. And Selma fainted. Selma's weak. She is not a strong woman. She does not have a strong constitution. So we are now in the Charles's bedroom, and they put up a do not disturb sign. I don't know who that's for. Maybe the help. Trixie, a big fan of what? You picked it on purpose for that tonight, didn't you? From Marie Antoinette? I don't know. I just remember that story, is all. So it is 10:50 or 11:53. We're getting close. I was driving around with you once. Was I driving around with you once? I'm not 90% sure there's no normal story about Marie Antoinette. Well, she did. They just take her to the town square and chop her head off, didn't they? Oh, you're talking to Ryan. Ryan was driving around with you. Hmm. Okay, now they're in their beds. And of course, it is the 1930s, so they have to put them in twin beds separated by a nightstand. And so Nora wakes up, Nick is sound asleep. She said, "What did you say, Nikki?" "I didn't say anything." "Are you hungry?" "No, I'm not hungry." "Did you say scrambled eggs, Nikki?" I think she's trying to get back at him for having her sit in the fish tank. I almost said fish bowl. She says, "After all, if I wanted scrambled eggs, I'd make them myself. But I'm not as good a cook as you are." She's really, really being a snot here. He's finally going to get out of bed and make her scrambled eggs. All right. That's okay. She got slipped her something in the fish tank that made her hungry. Someone slipped her a Mickey. She does this in every movie. In the last one, she said, "Nikki, can you reach the water?" And he said, "Sure." And he started pouring a glass. She said, "I didn't want a glass of water. I just want to know if you could reach it." Oh, that's in this one. She just did that. "I don't want it. I just want to make sure he could reach it." He's getting really irritated with her. Uh, Lisa is a rideshare OG. She sure is. No kidding. Lisa is the queen of rideshare. She knows all the little tricks, doesn't she? All right. Oh, Nick almost threw an egg for uh, for Asta to chase, and then he realized that's not his ball, and he chased the ball. So Nora is slicing bread. They have an unsliced loaf of bread. Maybe that's the way they did it back in the 30s. Maybe they didn't sell sliced bread. And he has the old fashioned, the long glass bottle of milk that he took out of the ice box. Other than that, I'll tell you what, this um, this plays very well in 2024 for being 90 years old. I think that any one of us would live very comfortably in that home. And other than not having internet and a cell phone, um, it's very modern. I don't think that we would feel at all uncomfortable. living. Now think 100 years prior to that. It would have been the Stone Age. Oh, someone just broke their window. Threw a rock in the window, and there is a note attached to the rock. It is 11:57, everybody. So I think it's time to start getting ready to pop the champagne. So I got some Corbel Brut for us tonight. Slice of bread entered the market in 1928, become overly common in 33. All right, well, maybe the Charleses, being wealthy as they are, just go to the bakery, have it delivered from the bakery where it's unsliced. When I was a kid, my dad was a baker, and we always had unsliced loaves of bread. Now, there is a secret to this. You want to be careful. First of all, point it away from your eye. But after you get the wire off of here, with champagne, this is not for regular wine, but with champagne, the secret to popping this, people always want to push it with their thumb. Not a great idea because you don't know what you're going to hit. People try to pull it off. What you do is you hold the cork and you twist the bottle. And that is the secret. So if you want to do this like a sommelier, that's what you do. Hold on to the cork tightly and twist the bottle. And it makes that satisfying pop. It doesn't fly across the room. You don't put anyone's eye out. So here we go. And are we getting a countdown? I got to put this off to the other side because I don't know if that table's going to be strong enough for us. Let's get that in with the ice. All right. Does anyone? Oh boy, my eye is itching. Do we have a countdown clock here? Let's see if I can find one online because it's got to be getting close, right? I would like to do the 987 654 3 2 1, but oh, here we go. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025. I just heard someone else popped off that firework right at midnight. Oh, that is good. You hear it? You're not hearing it. I don't know if you're hearing it. To 2025, everybody, let's hope that it can't be much worse than what I went through this year. So let's hope we have a much better 2025 than 2024. I want to thank you all for being with me. Uh-oh. The black puppy dog is back with Mrs. Asta. And Asta just ran out, chased him out of the yard. He's barking after him. You wouldn't believe what he's doing now. He is taking the lawnmower, the old rotary push type lawnmower, and he is pushing it up against the hole in the fence. So that other dog's not going to get in there. He showed him. Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm going to stick around for a little while. Time for fresh starts. You said it, Lisa. Ready for the bang? Oh, it wasn't even too loud. District Attorney fails to change Landis' story. Another cliche when they're cutting open the bundles of newspapers. Widow is grilled in Landis killing. The widow being, of course, Robert's wife. Detective question Singer. So he questioned Polly. Mrs. Landis held in shooting at Selma. People are hanging out outside the mansion. Harbor police are jumping in, seeing if they can find the gun. Now they're at the Hall of Justice, and the old lady is hitting the newspaper cameraman with her cane. Sorry, Mark, I misspell your name, which is hard to do. That's my name. Yep, I noticed that. But you know what I like about this? We don't have a whole lot of people here right now, but I'm recognizing everybody, and that's what I really like. And some of you have been here a really, really long time with me. Are you guys hearing all the popping? Are you hearing that? Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing that. This isn't bad. Not bad champagne. Oh, it's popping like mad. Pop, 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 pop. Maybe my microphone just isn't picking it up. Yeah, that's a great idea. Share the first average me video that you ever remember seeing. So the Charleses are having breakfast, but it's in the evening because they slept through the entire day. And Nora asked their butler, "Was it a nice day?" He says, "It was a miserable day, ma'am." If I was transporting the movie, I wouldn't be wearing this. I would be wearing a dressing gown with an ascot, and I would have a pencil thin mustache. Every man in this movie has a pencil thin mustache. Does anyone know that Jimmy Buffett song? I wish I had a pencil thin mustache, the Boston Blackie kind. The funny thing is, the irony of that is Boston Blackie did not have a pencil thin mustache. He was clean shaven. The first one you saw was a Lascaux Tower fan. I actually did two of them. The second one was the one that really took off, made the money. Do you guys know? I have one. This channel is not a big channel. I don't make a lot of money. But over the years, over the past 7 years, my highest grossing video on this channel. Anyone want to guess? Let's take some guesses here. The video that made me the most money, all told, over the lifetime. So now Abrams came. They noticed that Landis signed some checks, and they're figuring out that they're all forgeries because they put them on top of each other and they perfectly match. I forget the buffet is gone sometime. How come no 2025 glasses or tiara? Well, because this is a throwback to 1936 tonight. Which video? I'm not asking how much money, I'm asking which video do you think brought me? Probably one of the tech tutorials. You are exactly right, but it's not one that you would think. I'll give you a hint. It was like a 3.5 minute video. It was a very, very short video. My tech videos are all of my top ones. Yes, Trixie. Oh, God, Trixie, that is brilliant. It was that lousy printer. That lousy printer video has brought in roughly $1,500. That little video. Over 7 years, I've made $1,500 on that video. Can you believe that? That junky, lousy printer. So I wish all my videos would do that. I could be like Mr. Beast. No, he gets like millions, doesn't he? But even still, over 7 years, that's like $200 a year that video brings in. How much the highest grossing hotel video? I have no idea. I don't think they make that much. A printer video that's really straight. It's highly unexpected. So speaking of those, any though more in the schedule, the how tos. Yeah, there's one that I got coming up. Um, I don't want to spill the beans what it is, but I don't plan those. I just, when I have stuff to do around the house and I find unique, different, clever, or interesting ways to solve it, I make the video as I do it. Scotty Kilmer used to be fun. He's kind of just been a grumpy old man lately, hasn't he? I prefer to watch it. I have to get more cat videos. I've been falling behind with the cat videos. But I will tell you, Callie has, and I don't know if it's, since the passing of my wife that I'm the only person around, but Callie has really, she's really come around. Callie, she still doesn't like to be held, but she comes around a lot, wants to get pets. She gets my attention. She'll follow me around. She sleeps with me. So Callie, the sweet cat that for the first 5 or 6 months we had her, we barely saw her. She spent her life out in the lanai, is really, really coming along. Now Max has always been my good buddy. Max, a giant cat. There's nothing to him. He looks like he's so skinny and slender, and he weighs over 15 pounds because he's solid muscle. Did I tell you the other day he jumped he jumped so far I had to see how far he jumped. I measured it was 11 feet 3 inches, and he's called an Egyptian Mao, and it's a breed of cat that has some powerful legs that they can spring with. And he's always been a best friend. He's always hung around. Yeah, Max is the go-getter. He's my bro. He would be, those bears that have been visiting us for the past 2 months. I think Max would bring one of them down if he got out. Yeah, he's a great cat. He is such a great cat. Maxie, Max, come on, Maxie. Now, we haven't been following the story, but Nick has gone to Polly Burns' place. He's at her apartment. And by the way, Penny Singleton gets a great line in this movie. It's only 3 words, but because of the timing and the position in the movie, I have to believe that when she said that line, it brought the house down. It's way towards the end of the movie. We'll stick around and see if we're still here when the movie ends. But she had the greatest line. And a lot of it's her delivery. She really is a good actress. I think when you just see her in Blondie, you think, it's a throwaway. Pop, pop. All right. The first Uberman earns $20,000 plus per video. He did earn a lot of money, didn't he? Now, it's not going to be an air fryer video. Trash talking Toyota for reliability kills your reputation, in my honest opinion. Did I trash talk Toyota? I thought I liked my Toyotas. I thought that I loved my Venza. Or are you talking about Scotty? Is this super chatty like most calicos? No, she is not. Um, he looks heavy. He is. He's heavy. Solid muscle. Max is part Australian. No, he's an Egyptian Mao. Maxie, come here. Come here, Max. Max, come up here. Come on. The people want to see you. Come here, buddy. Come on up. Oh, Max, come here. Come, come. Oh, oh, jeez. Here, here, good boy. Say hi to everyone, Max. Oh. Now, what Max likes to do, he likes to lay upside. Oh, he doesn't like when I hold him like. He likes to lay like this, totally upside down. And when his head is hanging and he's upside down, he just almost goes limp. Look at this. All right, Max. You can go. You've earned your keep for today. So there's Max, my good boy, Max, my good buddy. All right, now he's looking around Penny's apartment and he noticed some crumbs on the floor. So he went to the apartment upstairs because he has a master key and he paced off the distance and he found some pipes up there, some plumbing pipes. And he paced off the difference and he sees a loose board, so he's prying it up with his penknife and he finds a set of headphones and he realizes that whoever is up in that apartment, whoever is up in that apartment has been listening in on, I called her Penny, listening in on Polly's conversations and things going on in her apartment. And now he hears someone moving around down there. It's Dancer. Of course, Nick doesn't know it's Dancer, but Dancer is digging around in Polly's apartment. And when Nick put the probably can't hear it, the cat there. When Nick put the board back, it knocked some loose piece of plaster down onto Dancer's head. So he realized someone's up there. So he's making a run for it. And Nick is leaving the other apartment. So this is going to be a game of cat and mouse. They're both going to try to make it down the staircase. So Dancer knows that someone's coming down, and Nick knows that someone's coming out. And so Dancer is just a little ahead of him, heading down the stairs. Did you bake some pies? I did not bake any pies, but I do have some pumpkin pie canned and a pie shell, so I might make a pumpkin pie. Should I bake it on my as a video? My cat loves to grab my leg or oh, mine is biting me all the time. Are you kidding, Max? My arms are. Ever you notice my arms are all full of scars and scabs and things? That's from this little guy. He's such a aggressive player. But look at him. How can you not love a guy like this, right? Now, Max, you're gonna jump. Don't get my microphone cord caught. Oh my goodness. So Dancer started shooting at Nick, and when he shot, there was a wicker trunk, and it opened up, and a dead body fell out of it. It's an old man with a long white mustache. And Nick said, "What is this, bank night?" Assassin still unknown. Well, I had to lift him to get him up here, and now he's not going to leave, is he? I don't think it's Santa. Santa has a long white beard. I said a long white mustache. So I should play, the little flute like they do in India, and you can see this tail come up. Do 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 do. Deborah, I love pumpkin pie too. Have you noticed, Deborah, that you and I have the same tastes in just about everything that we discuss on this channel? But I love pumpkin pie too. Now, Maxie, I'm not going to be able to drink this if your tail keeps getting in the way. Oh, see, I told you that was going to happen now. You go. You go. Oh, boy. Okay, now they're all going to congregate for some reason at um, at Polly's apartment. So Nick asked Abrams to get everyone together and bring them to the apartment, and he is going to see what he can shake from the tree. Max is secretly an alcoholic. Can't tell what's on TV and what's your neighbor's. Lemon pie is your favorite, huh? Um, lemon pie with the meringue, lemon meringue pie. That's pretty good. I like French silk. French silk pie, 'cause I like chocolate pudding, and French silk pie is basically chocolate pudding with whipped cream on it. Now they're back up. The nameplate on the apartment above Holly's said Anderson. They don't know if Anderson's a man or a woman, but they are, because Nick is so smart. He's putting together all these pieces of plumbing pipe, and he's figuring out that you fit these together and it forms a makeshift ladder. So you can crawl down, hang it out the window, crawl down, and sneak into Polly's apartment by climbing through the window with one extra piece to crack someone on the head with. So who would he crack on the head? Probably the old man with the mustache that they found down in the trunk in the cellar. A cat we adopted years ago and passed away now loved eating onion peeler. Oh, really? What a weird thing for a cat, but animals are different, aren't they? My cat doesn't like beef, but likes vegetables and cabbage. Wow. Now, Callie will not eat canned food. Usually, cats love canned food. Callie will only eat crunchy food. Max will eat anything you give him. And Callie, I suspect when we got her from the home, from the adoption center, it was a beautiful center, the greatest place. I mean, I think the cats are really happy there. But I think they just put out cans of dry food throughout the day, and she got used to eating it. I apologize, but I'm having all this bubbly, and then I want to burp, and that would be rude. But now that I told you, you know what's going to happen anyway. Boston cream pie. That's not bad. I'm having champagne and fireworks. That is correct. Only I'm hearing the fireworks, not seeing them, because I'm with good friends. Didn't Abby always want your food in the videos? Yes, Abby did. Abby was a delightful girl, wasn't she? And I don't know if you can see it or not. No, you can't. I was going to say Abby's picture is back here, but it's hidden by my shield. But that is, no, I'm looking over the wrong way. I have to do it this way. Okay, let's see if I can move my hand right. Okay, that is Sam right there. That's Sam. That is my wife and my daughter. So, but the adoption center is really good video. You should watch it. Yeah, the it was a lovely adoption center. I just drove by there the other day. Sam did move to Florida, and we knew he was getting old and he was getting sick, and we were doing everything we can to try to make his life better and making sure that he gets fed, that we're pureeing his food. But other than the eating, his personality was still there, and he was still curious and still jumping. And one day he started acting really funny and started, laying down, meowing like he was in pain. And we got in the car to take him to the animal hospital. It was late at night, and Sam died in my wife's arms on the way to the hospital. So that was a sad day for us. So I'm sorry, I keep bringing up sad things. It's supposed to be the start of a new year. Okay, here comes Dancer, and Dancer said, "I think I may," or Nick says, "I may have run into you earlier today." And Dancer says, "I'm sorry, I missed you." And Nick said, "Oh, so it was you," because of course he missed him, he was shooting him. So Lum is there, Dancer's there, Polly's there. Of course, it's her apartment. The old lady, the old rich lady's there. The pop psychologist is there with his thick Coke bottle glasses. Selma is there. Everybody's there. Everybody's in the apartment. David's there. Um, James Stewart, David, and Polly said Pedro killed. So Pedro must be the old man with the long mustache. And he said, "Yeah, didn't you know?" And she said, "I was in the jug." So far, it's the fish tank and the jug. She is a great character. And now Abrams is going around yelling at everybody, accusing everyone, seeing if someone will crack. Pop psychologist, value-ish therapy at Disney Resort. Well, thank you, Mark. I feel like this thing's almost over. You guys should stick around. Well, I feel like you're a good friend too. I feel like all of you are good friends. Here myself, a few people stopped by. I walked over to Bill's house across the street and visited for a little bit, and then I came back. I wanted to do this. You're not spamming the chat. So now Nick is explaining to everybody about that pipe ladder, and someone came down and they had the piece of pipe. They crawled through the window. And here comes Polly's great line. It's the funniest line. He said, whoever was upstairs had a listening device and they could hear everything that went on down here. And she said, everything? Holy cow. I love that line. Imagine what was going on in Polly's apartment with all the men coming and going. That I can't help but to believe in 1936, watching that in the theater, that had to bring the house down, right? I don't know if Bill's watching. You remember he didn't watch last time. I think that he would be commenting if he was. It was funny you said a while ago someone was saying you were I was a drunkie, a drinky. You like my blue glasses? I don't remember saying someone saying I was a drinky, a drunkie, but I probably did say it. All right, so they're blaming Dancer. Who do you think did it? Who killed Robert? Let's all have a vote right now. I was saying Max was an alcoholic. Oh, yes, when he went for my drink. And now Abrams is yelling at Selma, and Nick is kind of pulling him away. No, no, no. I mean, verbally. And David's getting a little. You can tell it's getting under his skin. He doesn't like him picking on Selma. And now he's yelling at the old lady. Plot twist: Robert is still alive and in hiding. Hmm, that would be a good one. What do you guys think? Was there a murder after all? We know that there was a murder, that Pedro, the old man, and David was yelling. The pop psychologist said, "There's another mental case right there." And David is lunging at him, ready to take a poke at him. And Mrs. Charles is getting in the middle of it, and she's getting choked. And Nick is ready to. He got her out of there, and he's ready to leave. Nick doesn't like that someone put hands on his wife. And Abrams ran out and said, "Mr. Charles, you can't leave me now." And Nora says, "Oh, go on. This is just getting good." And Nora's great. If you guys never watch A Thin Man, Nick and Nora, they are awesome. Selma is the weak one, of course. She gets the blame. So do you think she did it? She was caught over him with a gun. Um, that was someone yelling in the show. That wasn't Max. We have to stop with the hint stuff. That is old. And now Landis is asking, or um, Amos is asking, did you give this check to Landis? And Selma said no. And the old lady said, oh, yes, you did, Selma. I remember. Well, maybe I did. So that old lady is more concerned with how Scandal looks to the family than she is of even her own. I don't know if that's her daughter or granddaughter, who it is going to prison. So, oh, so it was Dancer that copied the checks and was depositing the checks. Dancer says, what kind of stumblebum does that make me out to be? I think Dancer might end up going to jail. Typical high class families, especially back then. They probably live in a house like the Glen Sheen Mansion, right? Yeah, as old as this movie was, the Glen Sheen Mansion was built 30 years before this movie was even made. I'm talking about Glen Sheen Mansion. One of my favorite out of all the places I visited, Glen Sheen Mansion in Duluth, Minnesota was one of my absolute favorites. I don't know why. Probably because I went out and had the whiskey tasting afterwards. Yep, that was the time they lived in. Appearances meant so much. I think you are right, Kay, about that. Now she's going to say her line, I think. I haven't been paying attention. Yep. Now he's showing that where they could listen into Penny. Oh, I thought they were in Penny's apartment. They're in uh, Anderson's apartment above hers. Holy smoke. That was a line. Everything? Holy smoke. Okay, let's all take a vote. What do you think was going on in Polly's apartment? Every time I hear dance, all I can think was a reindeer. It's not. I keep calling her Penny. It's Polly. Polly was the singer. She's played by Penny Singleton. She was the singer. She was the one that had all the boyfriends. Robert was her boyfriend. Robert was going to run off with her after he got the money. Then he had Phil. Phil was her husband that slapped her around. We found out later Phil was really her brother. I didn't talk about that. And then there's Dancer. Dancer was apparently having an affair with her. So she was um, she was quite a gal. She had a lot of energy apparently. And what did he just say? Okay, I gotta tell you this line here if I can if I can hear it again. It's a funny line because he's saying it to Polly, and Polly's she's a nightclub singer. She's not the brightest bulb on the tree, but great character. Oh, he's talking about the note that was written. Remember that was thrown through their window, and he said an illiterate. This note was written by an illiterate person, and she said illiterate. My parents were married. And then Nick turned to Nora and said, are you having fun, Mrs. Charles? This movie is it's a shame that it's forgotten. It is a fantastic film. Maybe she's the one who killed Robert. That would be money. Yeah. Polly could have killed. She would have killed for the money. What about Lum? Abrams is blaming Lum now. Remember, Nick put Lum's brother in jail, in prison. And Abrams said that Because remember, they all left the nightclub after Landis left, Dancer left, and Lum left. Now Dancer and Lum are at each other's throat. I have been giving you a lot of details as the evening went on. Got about 4 more minutes left in this film. Your power went off. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know what that means. And on Phil, what is the Alabama? I don't know what that means. So Phil was blackmailing Polly because he was really her ex-husband, either her husband or ex-husband to be. And then he said Robert. So Robert was blackmailing Polly, and now he's asking Jimmy Stewart, where did you expect to get $25,000? The banks aren't open. This is a holiday. He said, I didn't think about that. But we know he gave him the negotiable bonds, don't we? Jimmy Stewart, he's like 6'4", 6'5". Everyone's looking up to him. He described Pedro as a man with a long white mustache. But the only time he would have seen him is in a family photo when he didn't have the long white mustache. So he knows that he saw him and he shot and killed Pedro. So it was David all along. He shot him, and then when Selma came up, that's why he was there right away. And he intentionally got rid of the gun to put suspicion on her so they couldn't do a ballistics check and prove it wasn't her. He wanted to frame Selma because he didn't like her. He pretended he liked her, but he really didn't because she dumped him for Robert. He wanted to frame Selma. It was all about framing Selma because she dumped him for Robert. I've hated her. I've hated them both, he said. And now he's getting a maniacal look on his face. I killed Robert, but it was too quick, too easy. I wanted to see him suffer. And I wanted to see you hang, he said, and he pointed at Selma. This is not Jimmy Stewart. Now he's pulled out a gun. He said, I got 6 bullets for 5 of you and one for myself. I'm telling you, these movies were rough back in the old days. Yeah, Phil. Well, we thought Phil was the husband. We thought all kinds of stuff. There was a lot of red herrings in this movie. David sounds like a psychopath. Yeah. Well, the pop psychologist is really surprised that he was right. Oh, who ends up being the hero? Lum throws his hat in David's face, so so Nick can jump on him and disarm him from the gun. Turns out I'm right. The man is a flake, says the psychologist. Dancer thinks he's off the hook, but now he's going to go to jail for forgery. What about Polly? Oh, Polly's going to jail too because she was in on the scam. Nice work, Lum. And you sent his brother up, says Nora. He said, I don't like my brother. I like his girl. I'm your friend. Who saw that coming? And now they're back on the train. And you know what's going to happen? It's a classic. The train's going to go through a tunnel, right? David was a psychopath. Boy, these coupe glasses hold a lot. They're very deceptive. And now Selma is on the train with who is she with now? Who's her boyfriend? Oh, maybe she's just by herself. Why is Selma going with him? I don't get it. And Nick can't believe that they're alone. And Nora's sitting there knitting, and Asta is in the back. He says, "Pinch me. Is this real? Are we alone? Are you counting?" Well, David's in prison now, and they're very cavalier, having a little conversation. Finally, Nick says, "What is it you're knitting? Anyone want to guess?" Hmm, looks like a baby's sock. And the look she gives him is unbelievable. And his mouth drops, and he looks at her, and she says, "And you call yourself a detective?" Uh, well, I guess we know what was going on in the train on their way home to San Francisco. What a great movie. Wonderful movie. I mean, you really do need a scorecard to keep up with all the suspects and all the different people. It moves fast. The original one, the original Thin Man, was even faster paced. But they're good stories. They're funny, they're clever, they're charming. Um, they do translate very well into modern times. They're just really, really good films. It's a shame that more people don't watch them. A lot of people say, "Oh, black and white," and they turn the channel, you know. But if you have a chance to watch these Thin Men, they're so good. You learned to knit when you were 14. Didn't even realize 2025. Where are you, Rideshare? You're up in Wisconsin, right? Trixie, where are you? I don't think I've ever known where you are. Well, what else is going on here? Should we keep it? Should we write on it 2025 and hang on to it? 41 years ago. You're now going to tell your age? Do the math, everybody. Deborah Deer is 55. I I know what the D stands for, but I can't remember. All I remember is once you corrected me. I said, "Do you ever go by Deb or Debbie?" And you said Deborah Deer. So I always assume that double D is for Deborah Deer. Mark, Max, and Callie, the Average Me family. That is the whole family right now. I got a Christmas gift today delivered to my house. It's, you can't see it now. It is a great big giant computer telescope. And my daughter and her boyfriend gave it to me. I was mentioning how dark it gets here and how fun it would be if you had a telescope to look at, the planets and stuff. So I know you do that, Deborah. But once you answered, it's Deborah. You were talking to me. You were calling me dear. You said it's Deborah, dear. So that's why I always call you Deborah, dear. So, so I got this big, big reflective telescope now to pulling the stars and the satellites and the spacemen. And kind of excited. I can sit outside and, in the peaceful Florida evening and look at Saturn and Jupiter and Venus and all that good stuff. Mars. Average Mark. Yes, you do. And that's okay too. That was kind of a stupid name for a channel when you think about it, Average Me. It's so hard when you look stuff up because when you look up Average Me, the first thing it always does, there's a video out there, it's called Average Me, Average You. And if you ever try to look up anything from my channel, the first thing you're going to find is someone else's video called Average Me, Average You. Then it wants to show the average white band. So it's a pretty dumb name for a channel, don't you think? Or do you like it? I don't know. You can see aliens with masks, just like Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is the alien, isn't he? Well, I hope that they're above average videos. Um, I have been seriously thinking, I think I talked about this in the last video, about taking the Amtrak up to Wisconsin. It's about $1,000 trip, and it's going to take something like 50 hours. So I would, rent. I would rent a sleeper. I mean, you could do it for $1.50, 200 at the most, but it's about 1,000 if you take the sleeper. And if I was going to do it in style, right? Then of course I'd have to fly back, and I wouldn't have a car up there. So I would probably take the Amtrak out of Miami, um, connect in Chicago at Union Station, where, by the way, I could do a Untouchables video because some of that was shot in Union Station, a big shootout scene. And then I go up to Wisconsin, spend a day or two, and then fly back. Sounds like a fun video, doesn't it? I can remember Average Me. Some names are unforgettable. Well, that's good. Mark likes the name. I like Entrepreneur. Yeah, and Entrepreneur you could never find either. I talked to Kevin about a month ago. We hadn't heard from one another in probably a year, and I talked. Well, it had to be longer than that because it was before my wife passed. But I talked to Kevin. He and his wife. I don't know if they. I don't remember if they were divorced or separated, but he's done with the marriage, unfortunately. And other than that, Kevin's Kevin, right? I think you redeem United Airlines for Amtrak. Really? You can take train to I don't like Canada anymore. Canada is off my list for a number of reasons. First of all, Canadians are a bunch of phonies. I'm kind of tired. I shouldn't say this, should I? But I'm just kind of tired of the Canadians holier than thou attitude. Canada nice. And then all they do is criticize the United States. And the only reason Canada can do anything is because Big Brother's right next to them, protecting them. And then they wouldn't let me in their country. Remember that video when Canada kicked me out? I'm done with Canada. Canada is scratched off my list. All right. I like watching train videos. Michael Palin across America or across Europe. Well, Deborah, that's so nice to say. I don't know if I would fly Southwest. I saw there was an $89 Delta flight. Right. He got married and I could not go to the wedding. That is so true. And now maybe it's a good thing. Um, Kevin's a good guy. He really is. He was, I don't know. He's a good guy. I liked him. I still like him. Canada made a big stink when you tried to travel there for work. Yes, it did. They kicked me out. They gave me a paper that I still have with my mugshot. I like Halifax, but um, I've been there a handful of times now. I had some good videos there. I did the Titanic Museum. I visited the Titanic graveyards there. They have a nice little waterfront, bayfront walk area there. Halifax is not a bad city. I like Victoria better, actually. As much as I like Halifax, I like Victoria better. But I'm just not. I don't know. I don't need Canada. You know. Now I look like when I put the glasses on. It's like when Robert De Niro puts on his glasses, or when Cary Grant put. No, I could never look as good as Cary Grant. Even when Cary Grant put on those horn-rimmed glasses, he was still like the most handsome man on earth, wasn't he? It's unfair that someone can look like Cary Grant. You know, be that's almost like Tom Selleck. He's another one. There's too darn good looking. All right. I was invited to the wedding. I just couldn't make. I mean, I we were friends, but not, fly across the country and go to his wedding friend. But I was invited. What's the Sandman? Help me out. Am I missing something? No, do not take the submarine to the Titanic. Oh, that DoubleTree was nice, wasn't it? Boy, you remember everything, Ryan. You should I should hire you to be my what would you call it? My curator? No, what would you call the person that takes care of it, manages all the videos? Yeah, Dark Road Run did do that, but they were close. I'm halfway across the country. They're all in California. Not fair that some guys get all the looks and some of us just have the brains and the wit. Although Cary Grant kind of had it all, didn't he? He had the looks, he had the physique, he had the sense of humor, he had the charm. I don't know. But who did he end up marrying? He married Diane Cannon, didn't he? So even when he was an old goat, he got a young hot chick. And now, he got George Clooney thinks he's those guys, but he's not. Yeah, and the only reason I got quarantined at the Pearson Airport is because I fibbed a little bit, and I hinted that I had a heart condition. So they let me stay at the hotel as long as I said I would promise to be back at 5 a.m. And those doggone Canucks, they didn't even open the door until like after 7. So I had to sit around and drink bad Canadian coffee for 2 hours. I could have slept late. I didn't get in there till like 3 in the morning. I only had like 2 or 3 hours sleep as it was. At least I got a shower. But I could have slept a little longer. And they're just a bunch of liars. So Canada, off my list. Do you like Baywatch? Never watched Baywatch, believe it or not. Cher's relationship concerns me. Cher's relationship with who? Wonder what they would have done if you barfed just a little bit. I don't know. It was during COVID, so I bet they wouldn't have liked it. You know what I never told anybody? I'm going to tell you guys because you stuck with me on New Year's Eve. I was you guys know. I think most everyone that follows this knows that I'm a public speaker and I'm a program facilitator. And during COVID, I had a program in California and I had a connection, I think at DFW, Dallas Fort Worth. And I was on that plane from Milwaukee to DFW. And then I think I was going on to San Francisco. I think it was. And I don't know what it was. I got violently sick on that plane. I mean, I went into the bathroom and I got so sick. I probably made a mess in that. And I landed. I was feeling a little better, but I called my office and I said, I'm really concerned. I said, I just got really sick and I'm concerned that it might be COVID. And this was a Sunday. And they got someone else on the plane and um, sent someone else and they said, turn around and come back home. But that was so embarrassing. I mean, that I think I really made a mess of that bathroom. Shane's relationship. She's 80 and her boyfriend's in his 30s. Well, I see. I don't have a problem with that. I say if they can pull it off and stay happy, all the more power to them. The same thing happened with Groucho Marx. When Groucho Marx was toward the end of his life and he was an old tired man, he's another one that got these big horn rim glasses. I gotta stop wearing these because everyone I'm talking about is like in their 80s. Um, but Groucho Marx had this young chick when he was old. But I say, so what? If it makes the old people happy, and I don't know if they're just after their money, maybe they are. I don't I don't have a problem with it. It's none of my business. If that's what makes people happy and they're old and they're with a young, partner and they're happy with it, I remember I saw an interview with Michael J. Fox once, and this is before he had the whole Parkinson's thing. It's when he's a young man, maybe even before he got married. And, someone said, well, the interviewer said, aren't you concerned that, these women, these girls, are just interested in you because you're famous, because you're Michael J. Fox? And he said, I don't care. So, I think that's kind of the attitude I take. Yeah, if they're happy, let them be happy. You're supposed to be in Reno once. Like, no, 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 no. Well, my mother died, and I had to come back. That was another time I had to come back. But I think the time that I was going to go to Reno, you could be right. But there's another time I went to Reno. I was in mm, what was it called? The place where gold was discovered in 1849, Placid City. Was that it? I got to look that up. Um, but I think I was doing a program in, I think it was called Placid City. Does that sound right to you? Um, Something like that. I gotta I gotta look this up. Gold Rush is Sutter's Mill, but isn't there a place there? Okay, now I gotta look up where is Sutter's Mill, because it seems to me that that I was at that Gold Rush place, and now I gotta look on the map here and remind myself. I thought it was called something like Placid or Placid City or something like that. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Placerville. That was it. Anyway, so I was in Placerville, and I wanted to go to Reno, and they told me that I couldn't because of the time of year. I did a video there, by the way. But the time of the year, the in the mountains, I guess the snow was so thick it would be impassable, and they said you probably shouldn't do that because you'll probably get stuck. And it was the same route that the Donner Party took. And they said there was a plaque there about the Donner Party. And I thought, another great video, right? But I did a video on Sutter's Mill, but I did not end up being able to go to Reno. But I think the time you might be thinking of, Trixie, is when my mother died and I had to come back. And people were giving my video the thumbs down. And I thought, I thought they were being nasty, and I think they were just showing that they were sad that my mother died. Canada isn't off your list. Border Patrol is off your list, and you can fly there in your mind. Well, you could be right about that, but I don't need to be there even in my mind. Do you have videos in the Playboy Mansion? Never got there. Groucho Marx sounds like a bad restaurant in Florida. Well, that's why I thought about Taco Bell. I thought it's a great Irish place, right? Taco Bell. I've been married twice. My first wife was 15 years older than me, and I was 32. My second wife was my age and only lasted 3 years. Do you know in person Red Fox? Never met Red Fox, although Rodney Dangerfield once told me I was a funny guy. So I got that in my back pocket. Placerville. Trixie, do you know Placerville? Who's the guy that got banned from Alaska Airlines? Groucho Marx? Ryan, how do you remember this stuff? Alaska's a. What are you talking about? That was. I don't know how you remember that. I really don't know how you remember all those videos. Anyway, wasn't Alaska called Seward's Folly because it was supposed to have been such a stupid decision? Now we find out it has oil and gold and everything else. I rewatch hotels in the background. I'm doing my thing. Well, you've got a fantastic memory for things. I am truly amazed. Somehow I feel like when I'm sitting here, because of the way the shirt falls and everything, I feel like I look like Dale the Whale. Do you guys know? Does anyone here know who Dale the Whale is? I'll be very impressed if someone knows. You usually don't see this profile view of me, do you? Oh, I see. I need to tighten up my jawline here. I'm sure that they have some good plastic surgeons here in Naples. Get that taken care of. So the category is fact people. Who is Dale the Whale? You're on the road somewhere. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. You know, one thing I wish I never would have given up. When I left Wisconsin, I couldn't bring everything with me, and I knew I had limited space in this new home. And I sold my guitar and my banjo. And I wish I had never gotten rid of the banjo. I know I can get a cheap guitar for $100, but I wish I had never sold my banjo. And I know the banjo is a real geeky, nerdy instrument, but I used to have fun with it. Never played it in public, but I had fun with it. Dale the Whale looks like the obese Uncle Frank from Home Alone. Who is he? Could you tell us all who Dale the Whale is, Ryan? Midnight. What was the on The Office? What was the movie he made? It was something Midnight. Although this does make you look like you're being contemplative when you have a pair of glasses and you hold it up to the corner of your mouth. Hmm. When I smoked a pipe, I used to be able to do that with the pipe. But then my wife said to me, I wish you'd stop smoking a pipe. She thought I'd get cancer. Isn't that ironic? I have a harmonica, and I could only play one song with it. I could play Oh Susanna. And I think it's back there in the piano bench. He was a villain in Monk. That is correct. And he was played by two different actors. Banjo is not a nerdy instrument. It's a really exciting instrument. I think the banjo is great. I play guitar and little bass. But I was not good. I I had a banjo, and um, the guy I bought the banjo from was a friend of mine for 20 years who's an old retired music teacher. And he tuned the banjo. He called it California tuning. Do you know what California tuning is? It's when you tune the banjo like the first four strings on a guitar. So when I learned some chords on the guitar, I could use the same chords on the banjo. So I was always fun strumming. I was never quick picking, but I enjoyed it. I was never good. I don't have any talent. I have no talent whatsoever. My only talent is I can talk. And I never thought I would find it. My teachers I used to get in trouble for talking, and now I get paid for talking. But who would have thought that I would have someday got to the point where I could make a living by talking? It's absolutely outlandish that people pay me to talk. You want to see something really funny? No, I probably shouldn't tell you this part. I'm revealing too much about me. Rideshare, sometimes the things you tell me just confuse me. I don't even respond because they just confuse me. All that matters is the instrument, you have fun playing it. I think you're right. Most important, to talk and not to lie. Well, I try not to lie, that's for sure. I If it's a lie of omission. I prefer not to say things if I would rather people not know about them. But what I was going to say is before I became a public speaker, I was a stage hypnotist. And there are videos of me on YouTube doing my hypnosis act, but nobody will ever find them because nobody knows what my stage name was. So there's that. But I used to be a stage hypnotist. And that was kind of making a living by talking as well. If you do find him, you might not recognize me because I had a full head of blonde hair. I won't say I had dashing good looks, you understand, but no, I kind of gave up red meat a long time ago, um, about 5 years back. And every now and then, last week I had a cheeseburger, and every now and then I will have the world's best. I had the best cheeseburger about a year ago, year and a half. If you want the world's best cheeseburger, it's called the Stack Burger, and it's at Steakhouse 71 at the Contemporary Hotel at Walt Disney World. I never in my life have I tasted a hamburger that good. All right. No, it was not Ryan. Where'd you get that from? Kind of a cute one, though. Is anyone counting? Um, I was going to go to the Canadian Steakhouse at Epcot once, except, Canada. But I heard it's very good. I heard that steakhouse is really, really good. Hmm. And pretty good steak and cheese tonight with onions and peppers. I guess you'd call it a Philly cheesesteak. Sounds like it. I don't like peppers anymore, or onions anymore. I don't I don't like that everybody seems to think an onion is something that's required, especially a raw onion. So onions don't set well with me anymore. I get that. Ooh, how did that sound on my microphone? That little bit of heartburn, at the end of the night. Don't feel rejected when you're invited. Who's feeling rejected and who's invited? Okay, where you can eat all you can eat Kobe beef and I have gone to one of those places. What are they called? Um, what are those places where you eat all the meat? I went to one of those once. And I'll tell you, once is all I needed. I just I don't eat like I used to, and I don't know why I'm still so fat. Because I really do not eat like I used to eat. But I guess, you get older and your metabolism slows down, right? And then you drink your calories. I don't care. It's not like I'm out on the prowl for hot chicks any longer. Hmm. Now I'm trying to think. What do they call those places that have they come out with a big skewer of meat, and sometimes it'll be a big chunk and they'll carve it. It's you can get meat after meat after meat. And I tried one of those places, and I don't know. It looks like a heart attack ready to happen, right? But some people, I think Rogan, that's all he does is eat meat. I don't think Rogan eats anything. He says now and then he'll have a salad just because he wants to have a salad, not because it's part of his balanced diet. All the guy eats is meat. One of these days we're going to hear Joe Rogan died of a heart attack. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Soup, cookies, grilled nuggets from Chick-fil-A today because I still don't feel good. Chick-fil-A, I went there for like the first time a few months back. A couple of times was after my wife would have her chemotherapy. There was a um, Chick-fil-A, and we would stop. I when they first, I don't know if it was when it first came out years ago. When I say years ago, like in the 90s, I lived in Iowa when they had a Chick-fil-A, and then when my wife, like I said, was having her chemo, we would stop on the way back and get some Chick-fil-A, and now it's got kind of bad memories for me. Me and you and me. Wahlberg. Don't they have Wahlburger? Wahlburger. Ian, welcome. When did Sydney have their New Year's? It is a long time, but I do remember you. Um, when did you have New Year's? We just had ours. Oh, good Lord. It's been 70 minutes already since we broke out the bubbly. It's ridiculous that we're talking for this long. Big Chicken Shack. Never heard of it. So you've almost gone a whole day now. I can never really, your face is so little on here, Ian. But I always thought when I saw your, one of these days I should click on it and just see what you really look like. But I always thought in the tiny little picture, you looked a little bit like that guy from, what is his name? That great big tall guy from How I Met Your Mother. Who is that? Anyone know? Mark has been drinking nonstop for 70 minutes. You're right, Tracy. Or Trixie. No, it's not my second bottle. This thing is still half full or half empty, depending how you look at it. Look at that. I didn't drink that. I really didn't drink that much, if you look at it. I don't know if you really look like that, but when your picture's only this big, It's kind of hard for me to tell. But I for whatever reason, every time I saw that little tiny picture, I mean, it's probably only an eighth of an inch on my screen. Um, that's always who I think of, and I don't know why. And if I, look at that picture and blew it up, it would probably be like, no, he doesn't look like that at all. But but that's always who your image remind me of. Jason Segel, yeah, that's his name. Do you look like him at all, or am I completely off target? Well, Deborah dear, you're not that far away from me. I think you're about 2 hours away, aren't you? Aren't you up in the Tampa Bay area? Are you saying Ian's very handsome, or are you saying Jason Segel is very handsome? I don't know why I think that. It's just a tiny little picture, but it triggers that thought for some reason. Yeah, that's kind of where I thought you were, Deborah dear. Okay, things are getting bad. I just spilled some champagne on myself. Oh, you're saying Hints is handsome. Well, I will take that compliment. Now I feel like I got to lose 30 pounds to live up to that compliment. I've been told I look like short hair Adam Driver. Do I know who Adam Driver is? I'll tell you what. If this person was a celebrity after like 1983, I have no idea who they are. I was watching when I was over at Bill's house earlier. I was watching The Rock of New Year's Eve, and then his woman was switching back and forth between some of the different New Year's Eve shows. I knew nobody. I mean, absolutely nobody. They have all these people on, um, music stars, apparently. I had no clue who any of them were. Adam Driver is an American actor, Darth Vader Jr. No clue. Oh yes, everybody hit on Vanessa. I I think Vanessa took it in stride. I think she kind of liked it because she'd always come on and talk about how she's single and everything. And if she looked anything like her avatar, she must have been a truly beautiful girl. She was just, floating around 30, right? She was a nurse, and she had that Hawaiian Polynesian look to her, and yeah, if that avatar she used was really her, she was smoking hot. I mean, I'm not surprised that men would gravitate to. I just knocked my microphone off. I'm not surprised that men would gravitate toward her because she really did look pretty. But I don't know for sure if that was really her. You know, no way of knowing. Should I put my other glasses on? Should I put my purple ones on? I have a purple pair too. The purple ones just look black when I put them on. The blue ones, I don't know. Do the blue ones look black too when I put these on? They look kind of green, don't they? Oh, 50% of the guys in the old channel, yeah, I have the cross because I thought it looked really cool, not because I'm religious. I always assumed that you had a religious lean because of the cross. Do you know Cabritas, Bob Marley, and Beverly Hills Cop? What? I don't know what you're asking. I always thought she looked like real life Nanny from Lilo and Stitch. I don't know. She was a pretty girl. Don't save this life. Something. What is sacred? Who am I talking bad about? Are we? Is because we're saying nice things about Vanessa? She was a good mod. She took track of things and she was funny and she always timed everything out. I liked her. I enjoyed having her as a viewer. What about sunglasses? I only wear them at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I'm really sorry that I sing. I sing way too much on this channel. I know Bob Marley, and I know the movie Beverly Hills Cop, and I know Eddie Murphy, but I don't know what you're getting at. Yeah, but I know one person that accidentally timed people out. Axel. It's Axel Foley. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. I sing all the time. When I'm alone in my house, I'm always singing. And I'm a bad singer. I am not a very good singer, but I sing anyways. What is a dirty banana? It doesn't sound good. It sounds like a porn flick or something. I could try it. Do I sing in the shower? I sang in the shower today. What was I singing? I occasionally sing in the shower. Yes, I do. Can't remember what I was singing. Oh, I was singing a Billy Joel song. I was singing It's a rainy night in Paris, and I'm sitting by the Seine. Do you know that one? It's a pleasure to be soaking in the European rain. Yep, it is 78 minutes into the year. Do you have TV screens in the shower wall? I do not. Kahlua, brown rum, real banana, chocolate syrup, and milk. Sounds good. It doesn't have a lot of alcohol in it, though. It sounds like a baby drink. Whatever it actually is, not the porn show. It's not the porn show. I don't, I have never been a Charlie Chaplin fan. Um, he's just never been my style. I never really thought he was all that funny. I thought that there were far, far better comics than Charlie Chan. Charlie Chaplin. Oh, Charlie Chan was a good comic too. So I actually have quite a few black and white films that I have, and Harold Lloyd is one of my very favorites. Harold Lloyd was clever. He was, um, you know, when you think that those things were made 100 years ago, they seem very contemporary, and they translate very well. Just like I said, the Thin Man did. They translate very well into our time. Um, Harold Lloyd was extremely, extremely physical, and I mean, these guys had to be like athletes to do what they did. Buster Keaton was another one that I really thought was good. Charlie Chaplin, just I never thought he was that good. I never thought he was that funny. But um, out of all of the black and white comics, the silent era, I really think that Harold Lloyd is the best by far, hands down. And you can still find his things on YouTube and other places. So look up Harold Lloyd. I think you'll be pleased. What else do we got? I'm an alien. I don't know what you're saying, Deborah, because I know you're not an Englishman in New York. It sounded like a porn show, and you said you'd try it. Hmm. Maybe we shouldn't save this podcast, this live stream. One chip challenge. God, I know I've heard of it. What is it? I know I've heard of it. Charlie Jackie Chan. Now that might be a funny video. Oh, is that where there's a certain chip that's supposed to? No, I don't see the point in torturing myself. I never understood any of those challenges where you do things that are just incredibly uncomfortable. What's the point of it? Um, I just want to lead a comfortable life. I don't want to make myself miserable. That's would be a boon to my existence. Nope, not going to do it. Someone else can do. I'll leave that to people who are dumber than myself. I see no point to doing that. I don't even like hot sauce on anything. I don't see why you would want to eat something that's unpleasant. It just doesn't make sense to me. As I was saying earlier, I don't even eat onions. Why would I do the one chip challenge? But having said that, I do eat dishwasher pods on a regular basis. I'm kidding. I guess it wasn't dishwasher, it was regular wash machine pods, wasn't it? That they're doing for a while there. And you have to wait for a half hour, huh? What is a comfortable life? Well, Deborah dear, it's kind of the life I'm living now. I just talk to friends, have a cocktail now and then, enjoy my cats, make videos that I like. Occasionally, I will still go out and entertain. I can make a living talking. What's better than that, right? So I do miss my dear wife, but other than that, I feel I'm pretty comfortable. I don't need a lot of things. I my little home here suits me just fine. I have a lot of other stuff I would like to get rid of in my life, quite frankly. But most of you probably know I have a high-rise condo on the beach that I really don't need. When I see the cat food, so it's refrigerated and expensive. It seems better than human food. Comfortable means not to hurt yourself intentionally. That's about it. That's pretty good. All right, who's the best James Bond and why? Who is the best James Bond and why? This shouldn't even be a hard one to answer. Hands down, it's Sean Connery, right? Why? Because James Bond is not an action hero. James Bond is a spy. And as such, you can be handsome and charming, but not to the point where, you're daring and death defying. So he was good. He was the best James Bond, right? We have, to refresh your memory, we have Sean Connery, we have Roger Moore, we have Pierce Brosnan, Bron, Brons, Brosnan, his name was, right? We have, oh, what was his name? He was one of my favorites. I can't even think of his name. I'm going to have to search now. Um, oh, he only made two. All right. How am I forgetting? It's because of the alcohol, right? Timothy Dalton. I thought Timothy Dalton was a fantastic James Bond. Clearly came in second. George Lazenby, and of course, Daniel Craig. So, who are the best James Bonds? How's my head doing after the lift gate during the condo storm repair? That wasn't during the lift gate. The lift gate incident happened at work when my work location was demolished during Ian, and we it was during our salvage operation, and I got smacked by that lift gate. That's where that happened. It's fine. It's got a little scar up here. It just looks like another wrinkle on my forehead, quite frankly. But thank you for asking. Deborah, dear, haven't you been watching my videos when I look down on South Beach? It's a long story, but yeah, it's more trouble than it's worth, that high rise. I might like Martin Lawrence if I knew who that was. Roger Moore? Roger Moore? Tinkerbell? Really? Roger? No, I don't like Roger Moore that much. He took it, made it too silly. Roger Moore, it was like watching a Matt Helm movie. If you don't know Matt Helm, it was Dean Martin did a parody of spy movies in the 60s. And I feel like the Roger Moore James Bond were about at the same level. You know, when they had Jaws and then they had Jaws in Outer Space, and they were ridiculous. Now, James Bond is supposed to be ridiculous to a certain level, right? It's supposed to have some gadgets and it's supposed to be a little over the top, but not to the point that Roger Moore made it. I do like Man with the Golden Gun. That was a fantastic movie. I really did like that. Surprisingly, On Her Majesty's Secret Service was a very good movie with George Lazenby. Um, both of the Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton kicked it. He was a very, very good Bond. And Daniel Craig, um, there are so many things wrong with the Daniel Craig era. I can't even begin to mention them. But first of all, James Bond is not an action hero. James Bond is supposed to be a spy. And, you know, the Daniel Craig James Bonds might as well be Rambo because that's all they are. They're Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And that's not what James Bond is supposed to be. And also, they just did some really stupid things, making Blofeld his brother. And it was just so dumb. And then killing him off and replacing 007 with a woman. I mean, all that stuff was just bad, wrong. So, Sean Connery it is. Sean Connery was just just this side of handsome. He wasn't a handsome man, but he was an attractive man to women because he had charm. And he was macho and all that stuff. But he was also not invincible. It's almost like Daniel Craig is almost invincible. And James Bond is not supposed to be invincible. He's supposed to be a spy. He's still supposed to be able to go undercover, which I never understood why he tells everybody his name is Bond, James Bond. Ryan, I'm trying to rent it out right now. I have it listed with an agency, but it's kind of an expensive rent because it's location. I have seen an episode or two of The Saint. I haven't really watched it regularly. Yeah, I'm loving my life, and waters do get filled up in my backyard once in a while, but I have to clear the flow out. That hasn't happened in a while. I did not have any family there. No, my family in Norway is in a town. They live in the oldest Norwegian town. It's called Tønsberg. Oldest town in Norway. It's an old Viking town, and they have ruins all over the place. And I love my family in Norway, and I just talked to them tonight. Um, I have an aunt over there. My uncle died last year. That's why I went there last year. You may remember my trip to Norway. And I have two cousins, some beautiful second cousins. My cousin had two daughters that are gorgeous. They look like models. But that's Norway. The women there are they're the ugly women over there would put American women to shame. That's a nasty thing to say, isn't it? But I just love my family over there. They're really great. So I miss them. I miss them tremendously, and I'll probably be back sooner rather than later. I was talking with my aunt just last week, and she she wants me to come back. They welcome me with open arms all the time. So I just thought of you. Let's see. Of course, my favorite was George Lazenby. George Lazenby, he's kind of a joke, but he was not bad. He was not a bad James Bond. Um, he was kind of the one and done. But if you really watch it and don't try to compare him to, and he did a fine, he did an admirable job. I would say that I think he comes before Roger Moore. I think he was okay. I like the gadgets. Well, I do too. I think the gadgets were fun. Delta, well, you know why Delta tested my patience? Because I had spent 64,000 of my Delta points in order to have one of those real luxurious seats. So many things happen on that flight, misconnections and all kinds of things, but they swapped out planes. So I no longer had that. I ended up being in a regular coach seat. And I was really looking forward to having a fancy, fancy first class seat traveling all the way over to Amsterdam. And that's what disappointed me. Norway's a beautiful country, Ian. I have family in Norway, Wisconsin, and Texas. Wrong. I have family in Norway and Texas. I no longer have anyone in Wisconsin. Well, yes, I do. My brother and sister are in Wisconsin. So, yes, I have. Yes, you're correct. Do you like my table? This table is a clock. Isn't that neat? And it's a porthole. It's a porthole with a clock in it. Flying Qantas from Perth to Heathrow. Can't believe it's 1:34. Mark, you're turning into a night owl. And you know what? I work in the morning. So I should probably call this one and go to bed. I do have to put in, how many hours do I have to put in tomorrow? I think I have to put in 9 hours tomorrow. I have many, many, many people that are relying on me to guide them through delicate parts of their lives. So, Deborah, you been to Norway? I bet you haven't been to Tønsberg. Beautiful place, Tønsberg, because they have a great big hill that overlooks the fjords, and it was just so strategic a location, and that's where they built the forts and castles and things. And the problem was someone figured out, oh, they're living up there on this big hill. We'll starve them out. And that's what they did. So, all right, my friends, I think I am going to call this one. I want to thank you all for joining me. It was really a fun night. And I want to say from my heart, with all sincerity, it, you all helped me to make it through this new year. Um, This holiday season, I knew it was going to be a rough one. I knew it was going to be really tough. And I had, I'd been married to my wife for 38 years. And when she was diagnosed with cancer, it was hard and it was unfair and uh, it was one of those times when I felt like it should have been me. I wish I could have taken her place. So this is just a really, I know I try to laugh and I try to be light, but it's a very difficult time. So I want to thank you all for helping me. It really is. It's therapeutic for me. And I want to thank you so much for being here and spending New Year's Eve with me. So thanks everyone, and welcome to 2025. We'll see you on the next video. Good night, everyone.